Have you ever wondered why some women naturally command respect, admiration, and attention from men without even trying? Why some women seem to have men leaning in, eager to listen, to help, to commit, while others struggle to be noticed? Today, I'm going to reveal 8 smart behaviors that shift the way men see and treat you, but not just in the short term. These behaviors create lasting influence, respect, and connection. If you've ever wished to be valued the way you truly deserve, what I'm about to share will change everything. When we talk about confidence, most people immediately think about being loud, showing off, or trying to prove yourself to everyone around you. But true confidence doesn't work that way. It's quieter, it's steady. It's the kind of presence that doesn't need to shout to be noticed. Men notice this instinctively. They sense when a woman carries herself with self-assurance, when she knows her worth, when she doesn't feel the need to constantly seek validation from others. That's the type of confidence that commands respect, admiration, and even attraction without ever trying. The difference between confidence and arrogance is subtle but critical. Arrogance tries to convince others of your value, while confidence simply knows it. Arrogant people feel the need to dominate conversations, to make sure everyone knows what they've done, or to belittle others to make themselves feel bigger. But confident women don't need that. They don't brag. They don't overcompensate. Instead, they move through the world with calm assurance. Their opinions are heard because they speak with clarity, not volume. Their presence is felt because they don't seek approval, they simply carry themselves as someone who matters. Men, whether consciously or unconsciously, respond differently to this kind of energy. They can sense the difference immediately. When a woman knows who she is, what she wants, and what she deserves, she sets a standard for how she will be treated. She doesn't bend, compromise, or tolerate disrespect just to make someone comfortable. And when a man sees this, it changes everything. He begins to respect her boundaries, value her opinions, and treat her with care because he recognizes that she is a person who demands it not through words, but through presence. Confidence without arrogance also allows a woman to enjoy her own life fully without being consumed by what others think. She pursues her passions, nurtures her talents, and surrounds herself with positivity. This kind of self-respect is magnetic. Men are drawn to women who have their own direction, who have a life that is full and rich on its own. There's a subtle power in this independence, an unspoken message that says, I am enough, and I don't need you to complete me, but I can choose to share my life with someone who respects me. That is the essence of confidence, and it shifts how men perceive and respond to her. Another critical aspect is how confidence affects communication. Confident women speak with purpose. They express themselves clearly, calmly, and without unnecessary hesitation. They listen actively and respond thoughtfully. They don't feel the need to fill every silence with words, and they are comfortable with who they are in every moment. Men notice this balance immediately. It creates a sense of safety, respect, and admiration. They are more likely to open up, engage deeply, and value her presence in ways that are different from how they respond to insecurity or neediness. And let's be clear, confidence doesn't mean being perfect. It doesn't mean never making mistakes. In fact, part of confidence is embracing imperfections gracefully. It's about understanding that your worth is not determined by flawless behavior or constant approval. It's about standing tall, learning from experiences, and moving forward with integrity. Men see this resilience, and it changes the way they treat you. They recognize strength when it exists, and they are naturally drawn to it. So, confidence without arrogance is not just a behavior. It's a mindset, a presence, a way of being that reshapes interactions, relationships, and perceptions. When a woman carries herself with this kind of quiet, unwavering assurance, men don't just notice her, they respond to her differently, with respect, attention, and genuine interest. This is where the true power lies. Confidence is the foundation. Everything else builds from here. Emotional intelligence is one of the most powerful, yet often overlooked qualities a woman can cultivate. It's more than just being aware of your own emotions, it's understanding them, managing them, and using that awareness to navigate interactions with others, especially the men in your life. When a woman masters emotional intelligence, she creates an energy that is magnetic, calming, and incredibly attractive. Men notice it immediately, even if they can't put it into words. They respond differently because they feel safe, understood, and respected in her presence. Most people underestimate how much emotions drive behavior. Men, just like women, are guided by how they feel, sometimes even more than by what makes logical sense. A woman who understands this can respond in ways that deepen connection rather than trigger defensiveness. She doesn't react impulsively to every word or action. She observes, listens, and responds with clarity and composure. That doesn't mean she suppresses her feelings or pretends everything is perfect. It means she chooses how to express herself wisely. She doesn't let frustration, impatience, or insecurity dictate her behavior, and men sense this balance instantly. It draws them in. It makes them feel like they can be themselves around her without fear of judgment or conflict. One of the most important aspects of emotional intelligence is active listening. Many women underestimate the power of simply listening with intention. When a man speaks, he wants to be heard, not just to fill the silence, but to have his thoughts and feelings recognized. A woman with emotional intelligence doesn't interrupt, doesn't dismiss, and doesn't try to immediately fix the problem unless he asks for help. She validates his feelings, acknowledges his perspective, and responds in a way that shows she is fully present. This kind of interaction builds trust, respect, and a sense of intimacy that most people don't realize comes from emotional awareness rather than words alone. Emotional intelligence also means recognizing patterns in behavior, both your own and his, and using that insight to guide your responses. A woman who can step back and see why certain situations trigger strong reactions, or why a man behaves a certain way under stress, can navigate challenges calmly. She doesn't escalate conflicts unnecessarily. She doesn't fall into cycles of drama or frustration. Instead, she meets situations with thoughtful awareness, which not only protects her own emotional state, but also subtly encourages the man to mirror her composure. This creates a dynamic where he respects her judgment, values her presence, and treats her differently because she operates on a higher level of emotional sophistication. Another key element is self-regulation. Emotional intelligence isn't just about understanding feelings, it's about managing them effectively. A woman who can pause before reacting, who can choose her tone, her words, and her approach, demonstrates strength, maturity, and self-respect. Men are drawn to this because it removes unnecessary tension, makes interactions smoother, and allows connection to grow naturally. Emotional intelligence is also about empathy, the ability to feel with someone without losing yourself. A woman who can empathize with a man's struggles without sacrificing her own boundaries becomes not just a partner, but a trusted ally in his life. Finally, emotional intelligence enhances a woman's ability to communicate clearly, assertively, and lovingly. She can express her needs, desires, and boundaries without guilt or defensiveness. She can handle disagreements with grace, turn conflicts into opportunities for understanding, and maintain her sense of self throughout. Men notice this, and it fundamentally changes how they respond to her. They feel valued, understood, and inspired to treat her with the same level of respect, care, and attentiveness that she naturally brings into the relationship. Mastering emotional intelligence is not just a skill, it is a way of being that elevates every interaction. When a woman develops this, she doesn't just communicate, she connects on a deeper level, and men respond in ways that are profoundly different. Emotional intelligence is the silent force that transforms relationships and commands respect. There's a fascinating truth about human nature that most people overlook. Men are wired to pursue, to chase, to work for what they value. It's not about playing games or being manipulative. It's about understanding the natural dynamics that create interest, respect, and attraction. A woman who knows how to create subtle challenges in her interactions doesn't push men away. She sparks curiosity, engagement, and genuine investment. This isn't about withholding attention for the sake of it or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about setting a standard and maintaining your own sense of independence, which shifts how men see and treat you. Subtle challenges are built on the principle of balance. A man is naturally more attentive when he feels like he has to earn your time, your attention, and your respect, not because you're testing him cruelly, but because you have value that he recognizes. It's the difference between a woman who is constantly available and a woman who has her own priorities, passions, and commitments. When you're engaged with your own life, men notice. They sense that you're not just waiting for them to fill a void or validate your worth. That alone makes them treat you differently. It elevates their perception of you and makes their interest more genuine. One way subtle challenges manifest is in the art of presence. Being fully engaged when you are together, but not overly eager or preoccupied when apart, communicates that your time is precious and that your attention is earned. This doesn't mean playing hard to get in a manipulative way. It means living your life with purpose, honoring your schedule, and showing that your energy is valuable. Men respond to this naturally because it creates a dynamic of mutual respect. They feel motivated to engage, to invest, and to match the level of care and effort you bring into the relationship. Another important aspect of subtle challenges is maintaining a sense of mystery. Mystery doesn't mean being secretive or dishonest. It's about not revealing every layer of yourself immediately. It's allowing a man to discover who you are gradually, which naturally keeps him engaged and curious. When a woman reveals herself too quickly or becomes fully transparent from the start, there's less opportunity for the man to invest emotionally, intellectually, and even creatively in the connection. But when she maintains a sense of depth, intrigue, and unpredictability, men treat her differently. They become more attentive, more thoughtful, and more intentional in their actions. Boundaries also play a critical role. A woman who sets clear, confident boundaries without guilt communicates that she expects respect and that her time, energy, and heart are not to be taken lightly. Men instinctively respond to this because it signals strength, self-respect, and clarity. It's one of the most powerful ways to create subtle challenges without ever saying a word. Boundaries are not barriers. They are signals of self-worth, and they naturally elevate the way a man treats you. Even in small, everyday interactions, subtle challenges can shift the dynamic. Holding your own opinions in a conversation, asking thoughtful questions, or calmly expressing your perspective instead of immediately agreeing with everything a man says. All of these actions signal that you are a person of substance, someone whose mind and heart deserve attention. Men notice these cues, and it changes the way they engage. They begin to value your presence more, invest more effort into the relationship, and treat you with the respect and admiration that matches your self-worth. Creating subtle challenges is not about manipulation or games. It's about being intentional with your energy, maintaining your independence, and showing up as a woman who knows her value. When you do this, men respond differently. They become more engaged, more respectful, and more invested, not because they are being coerced, but because they are inspired to match the level of respect, curiosity, and care you naturally bring into their lives. Subtle challenges are a reflection of self-respect, presence, and awareness, and they fundamentally change the way men see and treat you. One of the most overlooked yet incredibly powerful behaviors a woman can adopt is the ability to exude genuine appreciation and respect. It might seem simple on the surface, but when done sincerely, It transforms the way men perceive and treat you. Appreciation is not about flattery or manipulation. It's about recognizing the effort, the intention, and the good in someone and letting them know that it matters. Men, like everyone, want to feel seen and valued. And a woman who can acknowledge that without overdoing it creates a dynamic that is rare, magnetic, and deeply influential. The beauty of appreciation lies in its authenticity. When a woman expresses gratitude for even the smallest gestures, whether it's a thoughtful message, a favor, or simply showing up, it communicates that she notices the effort and values it. This doesn't make her weak or needy. It makes her insightful, emotionally intelligent, and aware of human dynamics. Men respond differently to women who appreciate them because they feel recognized, respected, and, most importantly, motivated to continue showing up. They don't feel taken for granted, and that changes everything about the relationship. Respect is equally important, and it works hand in hand with appreciation. A woman who treats a man with respect signals that she values him as a person, not just for what he can do or provide. Respect is conveyed through listening attentively, acknowledging his opinions, and honoring his boundaries. When a woman demonstrates this consistently, men naturally mirror it. They begin to treat her with the same level of consideration, thoughtfulness, and care that she extends to them. It's a powerful cycle that reinforces mutual admiration and fosters deeper connection. Exuding appreciation and respect also requires discernment. It's not about praising everything indiscriminately. It's about acknowledging meaningful actions and qualities. This selective acknowledgement amplifies the impact of your words and energy. Men can sense when gratitude is genuine versus perfunctory, and authentic appreciation creates an emotional resonance that shapes their behavior. It encourages them to invest more in the relationship, not out of obligation, but out of genuine desire to continue earning that respect and admiration. Another critical aspect is how appreciation and respect shape your presence. A woman who embodies these qualities exudes warmth, positivity, and stability. She makes the men around her feel valued and understood without overwhelming them or compromising her own standards. This balance is subtle but transformative. Men are naturally drawn to environments where they feel respected, and a woman who consistently offers that creates a dynamic where her value is recognized without needing to demand it. It's important to remember that appreciation isn't just about words, it's also in the small, consistent actions that show you value someone. A sincere smile, a nod of acknowledgement, a thoughtful question about their day. All of these behaviors signal attentiveness and care. Men notice these details, even subconsciously, and they influence the way they respond. When a woman consistently exudes this energy, she becomes someone men want to engage with, support, and invest in. They treat her differently because they sense her awareness, her warmth, and her strength. Finally, appreciation and respect create a ripple effect. When a woman leads with these qualities, she sets the tone for the relationship. Men mirror her behavior. Relationships become more harmonious, and interactions carry a depth that goes beyond superficial attraction. This is not about seeking validation. It's about creating an environment where mutual respect and admiration flourish naturally. It's a quiet yet powerful way to shift dynamics and elevate how men perceive and treat you. Exuding appreciation and respect is not a tactic. It's a way of being that changes the energy between you and everyone around you. One of the most powerful ways a woman can transform how men treat her is by setting clear, confident boundaries and doing it with grace. Boundaries are not walls designed to push people away. They are the lines that define your value, your self-respect, and your standards. A woman who sets boundaries communicates, without saying a word, that she knows her worth and that she expects to be treated accordingly. Men notice this immediately, and it changes the way they engage, interact, and even think about her. Setting boundaries is often misunderstood. Many people assume that being firm about your needs or limits is rigid or unkind, but in reality, boundaries are an act of respect, both for yourself and for the people around you. They show that you honor your time, your energy, and your emotions, and they create a framework in which interactions can thrive. When a woman establishes boundaries calmly and confidently, she doesn't have to demand respect. It naturally follows. Men respond to boundaries because they provide clarity. They understand what is acceptable, what is valued, and how to behave in a way that aligns with the respect she has for herself. Grace is the key component. Boundaries delivered with harshness, anger, or guilt create resistance. But when boundaries are communicated with composure, warmth, and self-assurance, they are received differently. A woman who says no without apology, who communicates her needs without defensiveness, and who honors her own limits with calm confidence creates an energy that commands attention. Men don't feel rejected. They feel guided, inspired, and motivated to treat her the way she deserves. Grace transforms firmness into attraction and firmness into respect. Boundaries are also about prioritizing your life. When a woman invests in her passions, her work, her friendships, and her well-being, she naturally sets boundaries around her time and energy. She doesn't overcommit or stretch herself thin to please others. Men notice this independence. They see that she is not waiting for validation or permission to live her life fully, and this changes the dynamic completely. A woman who respects herself in this way encourages men to respect her as well. They begin to value her presence, her time, and her energy more deeply. Another critical aspect of boundaries is emotional protection. A woman who sets limits on what she tolerates, whether it's disrespect, manipulation, or inconsideration, signals that she will not compromise her integrity for anyone. Men recognize strength when they see it, and they respond to it with admiration and care. Boundaries are not about controlling someone else. They are about maintaining your own standard of how you wish to be treated, and that standard reshapes interactions immediately. Boundaries also enhance communication. When a woman is clear about her expectations, her comfort levels, and her limits, there is less room for misunderstandings, resentment, or frustration. Men naturally respond to clarity because it reduces uncertainty and creates a sense of safety. They begin to behave more thoughtfully, considerately, and consistently because the path of respect has been clearly defined. This is the subtle power of boundaries. They don't push men away, they elevate the way they show up for you. Finally, boundaries build self-confidence. The more a woman practices honoring her limits, the stronger and more self-assured she becomes. This confidence radiates outward, and men can't help but notice. A woman who sets boundaries with grace isn't just protecting herself, she is creating an environment where respect, admiration, and genuine connection can flourish. Boundaries are not a restriction, they are a declaration of self-respect, and they change everything about the way men see and treat you. One of the most powerful behaviors a woman can cultivate is investing in herself, her growth, her passions, her skills, and her independence. This is not just about career success or personal achievements. It's about developing a life that is rich, full, and fulfilling on its own. When a woman prioritizes her self-growth, she sends a subtle, yet unmistakable message to men. She is whole, she is valuable, and she does not need someone else to define her worth. This awareness transforms the way men see her, the way they interact with her, and the way they treat her. Independence is magnetic. A woman who is self-reliant, who can make her own decisions, and who pursues her goals with passion commands respect effortlessly. Men are naturally drawn to women who are not dependent on them for validation, entertainment, or purpose. They sense that she has her own direction in life, and that energy is incredibly attractive. It shifts the dynamic from one of neediness to one of mutual admiration, where men feel inspired to engage, support, and contribute rather than take for granted. Self-growth is not only about ambition, it's about constantly evolving as a person. A woman who reads, learns, explores new skills, and challenges herself to expand her horizons demonstrates depth, curiosity, and resilience. Men notice this because it signals intelligence, strength, and the ability to adapt qualities that are essential for meaningful, long-term connections. When a woman invests in her growth, she becomes more interesting, more confident, and more capable of handling life's challenges. Men treat her differently because they intuitively recognize that she brings value not just to herself, but to any relationship she chooses to be in. Investing in yourself also includes nurturing emotional, mental, and physical well-being. A woman who takes care of her health, manages stress, and cultivates positivity radiates energy that men are naturally drawn to. It's not about perfection or vanity. It's about demonstrating self-respect and prioritizing the life she wants to lead. This self-investment creates a strong foundation for how she allows others to treat her. Men respond positively because they see someone who respects herself, and respect, in turn, invites respect. Independence also allows a woman to maintain her standards. When her sense of fulfillment does not rely solely on a man's presence or approval, she is free to choose wisely. She is less likely to tolerate disrespect, inconsistency, or behavior that undermines her value. Men notice this clarity and self-assurance, and they are compelled to rise to the standard she sets. She does not need to demand respect. It is earned naturally because of the energy she projects. Furthermore, self-growth and independence enhance confidence and decision-making. A woman who knows herself, her strengths, and her desires can navigate relationships with clarity and purpose. She does not get lost in drama, she does not bend under pressure, and she does not compromise her core values. Men respond to this presence with admiration and attentiveness because it signals maturity and strength. It's not about being intimidating, it's about being whole, balanced, and compelling in a way that encourages genuine connection. Finally, investing in yourself sets the tone for the entire relationship dynamic. Men treat women differently when they sense that the woman they are with has a life of her own, a mind that continues to grow, and a heart that values independence. She becomes someone who is not only respected but deeply appreciated, someone who inspires rather than demands, and someone who naturally elevates the standard of care, attention, and effort that men offer. Investing in self-growth and independence is not just an action, it is a lifestyle that transforms interactions, relationships, and the way men perceive you